Hey friends, welcome to the Johnson City Living Podcast, where we learn about the people, places, events, and flavors that make Johnson City just a lovely place to live. I'm your host, Colin Johnson, with the Colin and Carly Group and Keller Williams Realty. If you're interested in buying or selling a home in the area, or if you're looking at investing in a rental property, give us a call at 423-930-8003, and we will look forward to helping you. Now, let's get to today's episode. The sun is shining, although it looks like a thunderstorm could be rolling in. So I'm excited to see what June brings, and I'm excited for you guys to meet Allie and Andrew McElroy with Soluna Sage Yoga Studio and Wellness Center, and just awesome people that you guys are going to get to hang out with today. So thanks for coming on the podcast today.
Yeah, thanks so much for having us. We're excited to be here.
I'm excited to hang out with you guys. I love the podcast because it brings people to me and our listeners that we would just probably never cross paths maybe. I don't know, Johnson City's smaller, but it's getting big every day. We got people moving here all the time. So yeah, super cool. Super cool. So you've listened to the podcast. You're a avid listener. You know what's coming. What's your favorite thing about Johnson City?
Yeah, so my favorite thing is the small town vibe. I love getting to know people at the coffee shop that are regulars. I love getting to cut up with the people at like Shamrock. When I'm in for my lemonade or my ice cream.
Shamrock's so good.
It's so good, so good. I love the walkability. We live really close to downtown, so we're able to like walk and just always say hey to like friendly faces, which is so fun.
Yeah. Andrew?
Oh, so I'm a native Johnson Citian.
Amen,
so
brother.
I've had a long history here, and I would have to say my favorite thing is the Farquad Fizz. It is a drink from Dos Gatos. They debuted it 5 or 6 years ago at Shrek Week.
Okay.
Which is an event that they host. And it's a Dr. Enough with an espresso shot in it.
Okay.
And I don't know, but it's the most Johnson City thing that I can be.
Andrew, I think you get the award for the most obscure and awesome sounding drink recommendation that we've ever had on the podcast.
If you love Dr. Enough, you got to try it. At least
well,
once.
it was born here, and so it's Johnson Cityan as well.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Yeah, I love it. Okay, and what's it called? The Farquad Fizz?
The Farquad Fizz, like
Farquad.
Farquad from
Gotcha.
Shrek. Yep.
Shrek. So it's like an over drink.
Yeah.
That's right.
But you're not green. All right, so Andrew, you grew up in Johnson City, born here, lived here all your life?
Yep.
Awesome.
Since the 90s, so.
I love it. And then Allie, what's your story?
Yes, I'm from Knoxville.
Okay.
Andrew and I met when we were in high school. We met through like a little church group, started dating, have been together ever since.
Nice.
And then we moved up here for school, went to ETSU, graduated.
Awesome.
And
Go
then-
Bucks.
That's right.
Yep.
That's right. Yes. And then after we graduated, we left Johnson City for a couple of years. I was a school teacher for a while, taught through COVID, got really burnt out from it. And then we ended up like converting a van and living out of it and traveling the country for a couple of years. And then we just landed back here for our little home base.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. Where'd you guys get your degrees in from ETSU?
Yeah, so I did mine in elementary education.
Okay.
Mine is poli-sci from ETSU, and then I also have a master's of business from Tennessee Wesleyan University.
Oh, wow. Awesome.
Yeah.
My wife, Carly, she graduated with an undergrad degree and then got her master's in audiology. And now she sells houses with me. So
It's a lot of where the path takes you.
yeah. You never know how the journey goes. Like you guys probably didn't think you'd be living in a van down by the river for a little while.
Exactly.
For Mickey and my wife, I don't know that we could coexist in a van. So how did you guys do it?
Well, I think a lot of communication helps. Yeah. What helps for us, we were living in a studio apartment at the time.
Okay.
And it was already like 500 square feet. So that's kind of small. So then we were like, well, what the big jump to 77 square feet? It's not that much. So we just started like donating our stuff and
Very minimalistic.
yeah, we're very minimalist. I think we have like 100 items each left. Very ridiculous. So yeah, we
Don't let her fool you. It's the great outdoors. It's being able to get out of the van and go on a hike and see Burnside.
Right.
Be like, oh, hey, you know, the little fights that I just had about doing the dishes, not a big deal.
Not a big deal. And we're
Yeah.
spending maybe 10% of our time in the van. Is what it sounds like.
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
We sleep there. Well, I guess if you sleep in there, that's 30% probably.
Yeah. Sleep, work, all the things.
Yeah, all the things.
All the
But
things.
you don't have a van in it. Well, you probably
We
still
still
have
do
the
it.
van.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
still
But you're
do.
not living in it.
Not living in it full time, not anymore. It's actually not allowed here in Johnson City, so we don't want to break any rules. or
Us
cause
real
any
estate agents
issues.
made sure of that. That you can't live in your van so that you have to buy a house from us.
That's
So
right,
That's
that's
just
right.
sorry. It's just part of the deal.
But if you ever want a challenge to sell 77 square feet, I'll call you.
Oh, really? That's right. I got a mobile house I'll hook you up with. Oh, man. That's awesome. Okay. So you met in like high school
Mhm.
and then you went to college. You got married at some point, and then where did the path go to yoga and wellness? And tell me about the Soluna Sage origin story.
Yeah, so I had always practiced yoga. I started getting into yoga when I was in high school. And started with like online classes,
Mhm.
like on YouTube and like specialty websites and stuff like that.
Same.
And then just really enjoyed it. So then when I went to ETSU, they have the CPA where you can
Mhm.
go and take yoga classes. I actually teach there now, which is like full circle moment.
Well, and full circle for us. Christian, he just graduated from Providence. He's going to be a freshman there this year.
Yeah.
And I said, he's in Carter Hall. And so I said, you could actually run to the CPA,
Absolutely.
work out and come back. So
Absolutely.
I'll send him
Yeah.
to a yoga class.
Absolutely. So school happened. I was super, super busy working all the things that you go through. So I wasn't able to get certified until after the pandemic hit and I left teaching. I was like, well, we have the time. So now's the opportunity to get certified. So I got certified with a small studio up in Hoboken, New Jersey. They have a great like online learning platform. So I did it with them. And then we ended up traveling some more. I taught yoga on the road and built up a really good base teaching online yoga classes. And I had never thought to open a yoga studio. And then when we were out in like a really small town in California, I went to a yoga studio that was at this like converted auto shop that was originated from like the 1960s. And I was like, okay, if I'm ever going to open a yoga studio, I want it to be in like a historical building with a cool story to it.
Yeah.
So then we started like thinking what would happen if we were to open a studio, what would that actually look like, stuff like that. So we launched like our online studio, continued teaching online, just brought on some more teachers. And then we kept an eye out for a building in Johnson City and ended up at our spot.
Pretty cool.
Yep.
Now, you did a lot of talking there. I'm going to get the other. And then the rest of the story, as they say, over here from Andrew. So it seems very simple and easy. Was it simple and easy, Andrew?
Yes and no. A lot of things fell into place, I would say. So with the inspiration of the auto shop in Ojai that had been converted, we definitely were looking for a space that could be converted easily and at a financial rate that like made sense for us. And so it was really kind of difficult here in Johnson City at the time, just because a lot of commercial property was off the market, to like find something that like would be easy to make into a yoga studio, but still maintain the historical character of it. And the business, then the building went out this winter. And so we just saw it on Facebook and literally called the landlord and said, hey, we want to see the space. And it had heated floors. It had, a lot of the things that we would have been having to purchase and kind of get installed. And so we were like, hey, it was made for it.
That's
the
cool.
timing
Yeah.
just lined up. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's been really neat to be in a 100-year-old building and just kind of be
Yeah.
able to restore some aspects of it and kind of bring it back to life.
That's cool. Tell the listeners where you guys are located.
Yeah, so we're located at 221 Cherry Street.
Okay.
We're right across from the new Johnson City Visitor Center,
Mm-hmm.
right across from like Yeehaw Brewing and White Duck Taco,
Mm-hmm.
and then pretty close to Shamrock on West Walnut.
And
So-
Southern Crafts just over
Yes.
just up the hill
Yep.
a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, and Alley Cat's our backdoor neighbor, which is even better. So
Yeah.
when you're doing yoga, you're smelling the Philly cheesesteak.
You
and
get
you're
some
like,
French
oh,
fries after class. They're great.
Alley Cat's Philly cheesesteaks are the best.
They're
Oh, yeah.
so good.
They're so
They're
good.
so good.
And I'm
The sweetest
excited that
people.
yoga folks are eating Philly cheesesteaks. Because typically you're like, no, we're eating like hemp buns and tofu and, we're very organic and healthy. And so Thanks.
For that, you have Groovy Grovers down on West Walnut.
Oh, yeah.
So it's
you get them out.
That's right. We love
so.
Nikki. She's great. She was a wild card on here. We had a blast on the
That's so
podcast.
fun.
Groovy Grovers. So yeah, if you haven't heard of Nikki Giles and Groovy Grovers, there's a I don't know what episode it was. Mitch will probably put it in the show notes for us. So do you yoga as well?
I do. So
Did you have to do that because you're like videoing the classes and that kind of stuff? And you're like, well, I'm learning a lot about yoga. How did you get into yoga?
So I got into yoga during COVID, actually.
I did too.
Meditation and pranayama was kind of the things that living in a studio apartment, I was spending a lot of time going into our walk-in closet, shutting the door and chilling out.
Tell us
the
more
news
about that.
cycle and Allie's classroom on Zoom and all the stress factors of the studio apartment. And so, yeah, I kind of got into it that way and really started diving into the philosophy behind a lot of yoga. And then back this past year, I was like, you know what, I might as well get certified too and start teaching and just kind of share the wealth with people.
So for listeners, talk about yoga a little bit. What are some of the benefits and why they should come learn how to do it with you guys?
Yeah, absolutely. So yoga is really great for not only your like physical well-being, but also just like your mental well-being. So it's one of the only like physical forms of movement that offer both of those benefits, which is really cool. So anything to add?
Better than running. I mean, I'm finally enjoying running, but at the same time, I can
Don't
kind of
enjoy
really-
running. That's right.
Yeah, I'm lying.
Yeah. The only time I like to run is something's chasing me. You know, like, or I'm trying to race one of my boys or something. That's kind of fun. But
Yeah.
or they make me do it at the gym, which is often too. So, so philosophy behind yoga. Where did it? I mean, just maybe origin story for that. Where did it come from? Where do you guys? Because you guys are certified now. You should know all this. This is your final exam. Tell me all about it.
Final exam. Yeah, so it's from like an Eastern practice. It goes back like hundreds of years, thousands of years, probably. Yeah. And it was originated from India. So it was just meant to be a practice that turns you inward to balance the body like all together, which is cool.
And I was just having lunch with a buddy, Jeremy, and we were talking about how you want to do things, but your body fights you at times, right?
Yeah.
And then so you've got this inner like conflict a little bit. And so I would say like meditation and then the practice of yoga is probably really good to kind of harmonize those two, because you're forcing yourself to do things sometimes you don't want to do. But then there's weird, like I can't, put my leg behind my head like some other people. And you're like, why not? And so you start thinking about why not. And it's because my tendons are tight or whatever. But that's really just me battling myself, right? Is that what you guys come across a lot of times? Like
No, definitely. And
you're fighting your body on some level.
Exactly. And I think that's one of the unique things about kind of the yogic philosophy is that you're really looking at what is the balance between change and stillness. And so, or like flow and stillness. And so like, how are you matching those two? And how are you being in each of those states in a good
Peaceful
place
manner.
where you're not fighting against it? And I think especially now, like so much is changing so quickly around us. So it's like hard to be still at the same time, but it's also very hard to adapt to the change. And so I think yoga does build that mental fortitude to help you kind of be better about dealing with things in your day-to-day life or getting a habit of running.
Like I'm going to yoga run and it's going to be great. I'm going to tell myself it's going to, because I think it's interesting that when you're sitting there, because you can, it's like, breathe into this pain that you're feeling. It's pain I'm quoting, air quoting, but it's just your body resisting like that pose or something like that. But, talk about, this would be a good just question for you all, but how do you overcome difficult positions, and then how do you relate that to maybe difficult situations in life, like you were saying, Andrew?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think there's in the yoga asanas, which are called like the postures or the poses that people do, there's really easy poses that feel like very challenging. So you could do something called like staff pose, which is just you're like sitting on the ground, your legs are long in front of you. You're just sitting up straight and like that's it. But everything is really active. And like Andrew said, like it's super hard to be still. And overcome that. So I think it all comes back to your breath and just sitting with it and being okay with it. And then it passes.
Yeah.
And then you're like, okay, I made it.
Yeah.
Here we are.
I think it's just interesting, the mind-body connection there. You want to talk any more about like how to apply that to your life maybe?
Yeah. So I think the same thing, like as business owners, we face so many challenges all the time, and we have to overcome these challenges by like recognizing them, saying, okay, here it is. We're going to sit with it, breathe through it, figure out a solution and overcome it.
Yeah.
I was about to say, when we're waiting on a space to open up in the downtown Johnson City market, and we're like, okay, getting anxious to have a space for the studio, but then being like, hey, you know what? The time will be right. And when it is right, it's right. And we got an awesome space for it. So
Yeah.
it just works out somehow. I don't know.
Feel like the Lord is blessing you or
Exactly.
thinking of, laying out for you. What does the future look like for Soluna Sage?
Yes, we have a couple of different ideas. We really are interested in bringing people from outside the area to come to Johnson City and also to come take our yoga classes. So we teach online, and we have an audience that's national and international, which is really, really cool.
That is super cool.
So we're always encouraging our students to come and like practice with us in the studio now that we have one. So one thing that we want to do in the next, I don't know, a couple years or so is lead like off-site classes. So go up to like Roan Mountain and do a hike and then do a class or something like that would be a really cool vision for what we have,
like
just to bring more people into the
A
area.
destination of
Yeah.
experience.
Yeah.
I like it. That
Yeah.
sounds cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's one of them. And then down the road, we would love to open maybe like a retreat center of some kind in between Johnson City and Asheville, just because the area is so beautiful. And there's not a ton of retreats from here.
No,
Yeah.
there's not.
Yeah.
So, and that makes, Asheville and Johnson City both the base for that. So yoga studios in Asheville and yoga studios here can kind of do a thing here in town and have people experience what these cities have to offer, but then also get up in the mountains and the mountain air and relax and
get some fresh air.
Yeah.
Clean air.
Exactly.
Yeah, it feels good in nature. So talk about being outside and doing yoga versus being in your studio.
Yeah, so I think a lot of people love to practice indoor and outdoor, which is one of the really unique things about our space is we have outdoor patio classes, which no other studio in town has that ability,
That's
which is
cool.
super
Yeah.
cool. But yeah, I love practicing and teaching outside. When we were traveling full time, I would literally just like roll out in the van and roll my mat out and put up my little laptop and everything and be like, here we are, let's teach. Here's
Sorry,
today's
the McDonald's
backdrop.
parking lot on
I
our way
was
to
about to say, stop, it might be the Grand Canyon. You never know.
yeah.
Backdrop's a little different today.
Yeah. But it was really cool in that aspect to like build the community around it. People being like, well, where are you today, Allie? Like that sort of thing. So that was cool. But yeah, for here, I think it would be really unique and cool to offer both of those experiences. So we're being able to do that in our space is really unique.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Let's say somebody's listening, they're thinking about getting into yoga, coming to visit you guys. How would you encourage them to just come try it out?
Yeah. So I think a lot of people have the misconception that you have to look a certain way, you have to have a certain body type, you have to be flexible, all these things, and that's just not the case. Yoga.
Or you have to do hot yoga.
Oh,
Or
hot
if you're
yoga.
hot
We don't.
yoga.
We don't have a hot yoga studio.
Good on the patio. Right?
I'll have
Exactly,
hot yoga
yeah.
inside, guys.
3 o'clock in the
July,
afternoon. That's
yeah.
right. Have it as hot as you want.
Yes. I got totally off traffic. What was I saying?
Talking about beginners coming.
Yeah.
Beginners coming. Yes. So, yeah, a lot of people have the misconception of like they have to do certain things in order to come, but it's just not true. Anybody can come take a class,
Come
just
as you
try it
are.
out. Yeah. There's a lot of different styles that we offer that cater to different people and what their goals are and what they're looking for, which is really cool.
Yeah. Talk about different goals and like that. Because I'm going, I think it's just stretching and being centered. So what would be
Yeah.
some different goals that one might come to you with and go, hey, I want to do, I don't know, become an
Absolutely.
NBA basketball player.
Yeah. So we
That's
have,
Mitch's goal.
so we have students that come in and they're like, I want to get really toned, or I just want to build a little bit of muscle, but I don't want to look super, super buff like the CrossFit dudes and stuff like that. So we're like, okay, you should take a yoga sculpts class, because it's like kind of like a combination of bar, Pilates, and yoga, where we use light dumbbells. And you go through the yoga flow, but you experience like cardio, you do a flow with like your standing weights, you do the core workout, all these different kinds of like movements, and that gives you what you are looking for the toning. So,
And a big thing that we've had a lot of clients coming to us for, they're looking for kind of injury reduction, or kind of coming out of maybe a surgery or something that has happened that they're trying to recover from. And so we do a lot of restorative yoga, yin yoga. So really kind of offering yoga types that allow somebody, once they've kind of gotten that PT done and the doctors give them the go to start doing some more physical activity, they don't want to jump right back into it. And so this is a great way
it's
to
like
kind
a little
of
lead.
Yeah,
In between, like the recovery and then full on working out hard.
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Come see you guys.
Yep.
I didn't know that you offered opportunities to get big and like super strong, like Mitch, or like cut, like, yeah. I mean, I didn't
Absolutely.
know that's all new information to me. That's really cool.
Yeah.
And this may be putting a challenge out there to some of your listeners, but the people that struggle the worst are CrossFit guys.
Oh, I bet.
Oh, they
I used to
are.
Anybody
CrossFit.
who does
'Cause
CrossFit just
super
struggles
tight.
because
Yes,
you're
they
always
don't
tight.
stretch
So,
My
after.
hamstrings are so.
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
go do your CrossFit
think they
and then
encourage
come
you
and
to
do some
stretch,
yoga, and
Yeah.
we'll stretch you out, and it'll be tough those first few sessions, but eventually you'll be like, hey,
Yeah.
I can do better CrossFit.
Right, the
and
movements can be better, like,
Exactly.
your
Yeah.
stuff.
Absolutely.
so,
I like it. Anything like you'd be like, oh, well, you shouldn't come to yoga if you have like chronic, any kind of pain, anything like that? Or you're just like, oh, we'll take everybody and we can help work through that.
Yeah, we'll take everybody. We offer, I don't know, our classes are very accessible, which is really unique. We are very specialized in like prenatal classes. So we are one of the only studios in Johnson City that offers prenatal classes.
That's cool.
So we've had a lot of like pregnant moms reach out and be like, hey, like this was the need for us. Like, I'm so glad that you guys are providing that, which is really cool. So I would say no matter where you are, come on. We'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
I like it. And the
And-
prenatal is great.
Absolutely.
I was just saying, we also partner with several PT places around town. And so, if you come in and have something that is a concern of yours, we're going to say, hey, let's slow down. Let's not try that posture, or let's, modify that for you. And then also can we make that recommendation and be like, hey, this wonderful PT place out in Boones Creek, like this would be a great place for you to go and kind of get that work done and make sure that you're getting that taken care of, so you can come back and do yoga at a regular interval, or even, yoga sculpt.
I like it. Yeah. Yeah, that's cool. All right. Besides living in a van together, what have been some difficult challenges about your business that you've had to overcome?
Difficult challenges.
Not with the
Well,
van.
okay, yeah. The first one, I think, was the time crunch. So we saw our building come available, and literally probably within 2 hours, I had saw the post or whatever and called the owner or the landlord.
Is that my friend Joe Wardbird?
Yes,
Yep.
yes. So called him and was like, hey, I saw this. Can I come see your building? And he was like, yeah, come on. So then that turnaround was 4 weeks until we had to open. So then we had to turn our location that was a farm store into a yoga studio in less than 4 weeks.
Which was a lot of sweeping, a lot of mopping, getting all that
Yeah,
dirt
it was
out.
a lot of dirt. A lot of dirt. I feel like we're still cleaning the dirt out. But it's so much better than.
But the earth is, you're one
That's
with
right,
the
it's
earth.
really
It's
grounding,
really
really
grounding. It's
grounding.
good for you. That's right. You can't just have piles of dirt sitting around and be like, if you want to ground yourself.
Yeah.
Talk about like grounding, which is a cool thing. So talk to our listeners a little bit about grounding, because it's cool.
Yeah. So grounding is a practice that you can do just to help you get recentered and refocused. There's a lot of different ways that you can ground yourself, whether that is sitting on your couch in the morning, having your cup of coffee, and just being quiet and breathing. It could look like you driving your car down the street and you hear a song come on and you're like, okay, that's my song to cue me to ground myself. So I'm going to come back to my breath. So there's just a lot of ways that you can come back and recenter. I think a lot of it comes back to recognizing that you have your breath to always come back to.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And I've heard or read some stuff too and seen some videos about like getting barefoot in the grass, tapping into the earth energy kind of deal.
Yeah.
What are some other ways to do that? Like,
Yeah, one of the practices that we actually offer at the studio is Qigong. So it's a Chinese form of Tai Chi that is really focused on grounding. And so you're barefoot the entire time, and you go through all these kind of postures and stuff with your hands, but you're standing there and you're really just focused on grounding down. And Mark that teaches the classes, I mean, he does a wonderful job, and we're hoping to kind of open that up with some going to maybe like Willow Springs Park and offering free classes out there. Just kind of introducing that, because that's one thing that while we have several martial arts centers, kind of the slower kind of yin flow type practices definitely are kind of missing. And so Qigong is definitely one way to do that. And I think there's actually a lady in Jonesboro that also offers it. And so just kind of great practice just to be barefoot in the grass outside and just really focusing on your breath and being where you are on your 2 feet. So
yeah, my wife and I are like, we have literally thousands of spiders in our dress because they pop out all the time. And we're like, I don't know that I want to be barefoot in my yard, but I do do it occasionally, but I guess I'm hopefully not hurting the spiders and they run off before I get them. Let's say somebody's wanting to open a yoga studio in somewhere else and they're in a van right now listening to our podcast. How would you advise them? What would you tell them to do?
Yeah, so I would recommend doing your research, knowing your audience, and seeing if the need is there. I think a lot
Wise market research.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's like what I feel like I did a lot while we were traveling, and just seeing like, is it even a need to teach online yoga classes? Is it a need to open up another studio? Like, is that actually there? But what we found is specifically here in Johnson City was like there was this whole group of people that just wanted to do yoga to meet a new friend, or like they just moved to the area and they like don't want to take a like super, super hard class, but they do want to work their body, but they also want the community aspect of it.
Community,
Yeah. So that's one of the cool things that we've been able to provide. But yeah, for someone opening a studio, that's my number one thing is make sure that you do your research and then build a community around it, and the rest will figure itself out.
Gotcha.
And that's one thing.
I was going to say, does the NBA have some other stuff?
Yeah, and that's definitely one thing that growing up here in Johnson City, you know, watching over the years as downtown has revitalized and changed so much in the last 30 years is you have to come into a market the size of Johnson City willing to work with the other businesses, including the ones doing what you're doing.
Sure.
And so, you know, if we had to come in and tried to do exactly what Vidya or Downtown Yoga Center was doing, it wouldn't have worked. We would have just been fighting and it wouldn't have made sense.
Right.
And so instead we looked at kind of what they were offering and we said, hey, you know what? Hot yoga is awesome.
Yeah, they do it really, really well. I'm going to let y'all do it real well.
Exactly. They do yoga teacher trainings. They do it extremely well. We don't need to offer it. We can hire their yoga teachers that are being trained because they're wonderfully trained.
Yeah.
And so definitely just working with the businesses and even the ones that aren't exactly what you do.
Sure.
Partnering with, you know, the new businesses, the businesses that have been here for 10 years, the ones that have been here for 100 years.
Yeah.
But I definitely think that's a really critical thing that a lot of people, you kind of get tunnel vision when you're building a business and you're like, hey, this is what I have to do and this is my profit, this is my bottom line, this is what I got to do. But at the end of the day, like your real goal is to make the community better. And yeah, you want to make that profit so you can keep making the community better. But at the end of the day, like, don't get focused on that. That's the wrong goal. It's about building up what Johnson City actually is.
Yeah.
We say around the office a lot, if we help enough people get what they want, we'll get what we want.
Exactly.
Right? And then we work great with all the other agents in the area because we understand we have a sandbox that we're all playing in, right? It's the same sandbox. And so how do we play well in it? And so if somebody's offering hot yoga, you come around the corner and you got cold yoga. Like meat locker yoga, we can do that. Like you just like cold plunges. We just do the whole thing in the meat locker. I don't know. We could try it. It may not take off. It's just, you know, sometimes they come to me and they're not great. So not all the ideas are great. How should our listeners connect with you guys directly?
Yeah, so they can connect with us through social media. That's probably the easiest way.
Okay.
Our Instagram and our Facebook is all the same. It's at Soluna Sage Studio. And then you can check out our website at solunasage.com.
solunasage.com and
Yep.
Soluna Sage at Soluna Sage for Facebook and Instagram and all that fun stuff. If I wanted to sign up for a class, same, go to those spots.
Yep, we have our online studio that you can stream from anywhere. And then we also have our in-person schedule. So you can just find the class for you and then sign up through our website.
How many people are watching online? Like through all's like weekly or
Yeah,
daily? I don't know
we
how.
do
Tell
daily.
me all about that. 'Cause I
Yeah,
want to know.
so we have two different things. So we do live classes where people can join us live,
Mhm.
or we have on-demand videos.
Okay.
So our on-demand library is subscription-based, but we
Okay.
also have it to where you can like rent single videos if you want, or just purchase the single video.
Kind of like Netflix.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So it's like Netflix for yoga. Yes.
Netflix.
Yeah. Yeah, so all the classes are 30 minutes or less. We're doing a series right now for vacation. So all the classes, again, 30 minutes or less, and all you need is a yoga mat. So we have all of our different yoga styles and stuff like that, which is super cool.
That is cool.
And then we also do live classes, and those get anywhere from 50 to like 150 people live.
Isn't
so
that
that's
crazy?
really-
like, you're
that's
like,
really cool.
150 people are showing up.
Showing up on a screen, and they're practicing in their house or outside or wherever they are, which is so cool.
That
So
is cool.
Yeah.
That's a lot of people.
It is a lot of people. It kind of overwhelms you sometimes.
How often are you hosting classes in person at your studio?
Yeah, we offer them 7 days a week. We have anywhere from 2 to 5 classes a day.
Yep.
So our schedule is all on our website. We update it and everything like that.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What did I forget to ask you about your business that I should have asked?
You didn't ask me what my favorite yoga pose was.
Hey, Allie, what is your favorite yoga part?
My favorite yoga pose is Shavasana because you get to lay
Because you
down
let
at the
them
end.
go to sleep.
That's
my
right, that's
favorite
right.
too.
It's so
Andrew,
good.
what's your favorite pose?
Oh, yogi squat.
Yogi
I
squat.
do- I just
Sit there and that's a good
it's
place to
great.
text.
yeah.
Just get down and,
It'll
and
get
do
ya,
it.
it'll get ya.
Do a podcast while you're just yoga squatting.
That's
Yeah,
right. That's right.
Exactly.
I love it. All right. So last time, solunasage.com or at Soluna Sage on the studio,
Yep, at Soluna Sage Studio.
on the Instagrams.
Yeah.
And if you're downtown for a festival this summer, just swing on by. It's right by the visitor center. Come check it out. It's very neat. And then just
Absolutely.
walk across the street and
There you
do a
go.
yoga
Yeah,
class.
the big percent is great. Yeah.
Yeah.
If the wait time at one of the restaurants is long, just come do a yoga class.
Favorite downtown restaurant?
Ooh.
You can go and then we'll ask Andrew. He might have a
Okay.
different one.
I love Timber.
Yeah.
I went there for my birthday a couple months ago,
Nice.
and they had a dessert that was s'more sundae or
Ooh,
something.
that
I
sounds
have
tasty.
never had a dessert take me to a place, but their dessert like made me feel like I was camping, which
That's
was
cool.
the coolest experience. So
That's
I'm like,
super
go
cool.
to Timber.
Go to Timber and ask them for one. Say, hey,
Yes.
Allie said you made this thing. And we probably don't have it anymore, but you should make it for me.
That's right.
I have to say Mid-City.
Oh,
It's,
yeah.
it's always the one that, whenever I'm coming down and getting a beer at Johnson City Brewing or somewhere like that, it's just go get me a plate of fries or a burger or, it's just,
They have good veggie
so good.
burgers too.
Yeah,
their
veggie burgers are-
vegan menu is fantastic.
yeah,
and
it's
if, you,
crazy.
if you're ever like, I'm interested, but I don't know if I want to try it, go to Mid-City because their vegan
It's
mid-menu is
so good.
fantastic.
Yeah, it
so-
is good. And they have good dessert too.
Oh,
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, cool. What gets you fired up where you're like, let's go? Woo."
I really love collaborating with other people and other businesses.
Mhm.
So one of the collaborations we've done lately is with Pierce Marketplace.
Oh, yeah.
And we just did like a cute little like reel online that was like, hey, if you need a post yoga snack, here's where you're gonna go. And it's just those collaborations like that are just super, super fun for me.
That is
So,
fun because
yeah.
you're helping other people.
Absolutely. I love it.
Well, say I really enjoy and just, love like thinking about it all the time. Is kind of the stuff that we can do at the yoga studio itself. Since it's a 100-year-old building, like how is my touches now in 2024, like going back all the way to 1919 when the building was built? Like what am I doing now to kind of bring life back to this building? And so that's just really a lot of fun for me.
Like repointing the big brick so it doesn't all fall apart.
Exactly. And getting contractors that know what they're doing when it comes to historical stuff like
Yeah,
Yes.
that's fun.
And so, yeah, it's just been a lot of fun to kind of reimagine kind of what the things that need to be done around it to keep it going for as long as the building stands. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, thanks for coming on the podcast. Thanks for what you're doing. Thanks for being a part of downtown and revitalizing older buildings and putting up with my buddy Joe Ward. And yeah, I think it's fun. And I love that we've had another yoga studio on here. And like, I think it's cool that you do collaborate and you work together. And it's what makes Johnson City awesome, right? It's the people
Absolutely.
here that just make it
Yeah.
what brought you back after traveling all over
Absolutely.
the world. You chose to come back here.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I hope you guys enjoyed the conversation. I know I did. And if you're thinking of moving here, getting out of your van, buying something that's bigger than 77 square feet, I would love to help you do that. So connect with me. I'd help you move here. We can sell a house for you wherever you are in the country too. I can connect you with a great agent and help you build wealth through rental property too. So if you guys want to get into rental property, we should do that. All right. Thanks so much and have a great day.